Defend Ukraine, defeat Putin, choose unity. This is what we're gonna talk about today. This is my message for you today. Mostly this is for my American friends, but everybody else welcome to watch it, English speakers, and it's applicable to many of your countries too. So I don't think it would be waste of your time if you will watch this. Hello there, I'm Elena. Welcome to my political channel, Enough of Propaganda. Well, today I'm gonna influence your politics. See, I'm already in the White House, kind of. I will use my own pictures for this video. From Ronald Reagan Presidential Library, Bill Clinton Presidential Library, my visits to Florida, Texas, Arkansas. So, as I said in my previous videos, I have been in about 42, if not more, states of the United States. And partly in this video, I'll prove a little bit that yes, I was there. And this video is about Ukraine and aid to Ukraine, but mostly this is about United States and United States politics. I thought I could wait with this because I was very busy dealing with the war in Ukraine. Being from the USSR and Russia, I'm the person who born in USSR, and I did extensive research of the war in Ukraine since it started in 2014 and even earlier. And on my channel, I provided a lot of information, facts, proofs, video proofs from Putin, from Russia, from Ukraine, and many other countries to show you what really happened, why Russia is the aggressor, how it all happened, without any doubt. And in this video, I also proven that I have been in your states, I have friends there, I have been in many places in your country. I respect the United States, I love Americans, I have friends there, and I have no reason to support one party versus another, except I already been in the USSR. I already have lived there. All that political, I don't know how to say politely, that's why I won't say anything about it. I have already seen in the past. I already know where that roads sometimes you decided on, some of you politicians decided to take, are going to. I already been there. It's a dead end. It's a distraction, it's loss, and stuff like that. That is why I decided to make this video. If you find it informative, which I hope you will, please like, share, subscribe. This is what helps make this video visible to many people. This is how YouTube algorithms are working. First of all, I want to thank you, all of you who came to my channel, especially for those who subscribed, liked my videos, and people who definitely care about Ukraine. And I could say there are majority of us in every country, in every decent country, and definitely in the United States. Both parties definitely support Ukraine. And some politicians of Republican Party right now blackmailing the country, blackmailing not just United States, but the whole world, basically Ukraine and everybody who is affected by Russian aggression and will be affected. There would be consequences for that. Ukraine needs help. And attaching the deal with Ukraine and helping Ukraine to some sort of a unknown issues or issues which known for years and decades is a blackmail. Period. At the time when Putin is losing the war in Ukraine, when his army, which was considered to be number two army in the world, turned out to be not only second army in the world, it's not even second army in Ukraine, because apparently Russian Wagner group, which is supported and paid by Russian government, so it's kind of Russian army too, went to Moscow, and within a couple days or day, it was at the edge of Moscow. That's why, and Russian army could do nothing about it. That is why Putin's propaganda increasing. Now Putin will use every single one, troll, bot, corrupt politician, useful idiot, or the people who he can manipulate. He can manipulate, he can threaten anything. anything counts, because Putin is counting on us to give up help to Ukraine. Putin is counting that he can divide Ukrainians. That's why my previous videos I made for Ukrainians specifically, for my Ukrainian friends, because poor people right now, beside the war is going on, Russia is bombing infrastructure, bombing civilians, killing them by masses. Russia cannot achieve victory on the front. That is why Russia will do anything possible just to install division into Ukrainian society using Russian-speaking Ukrainians versus Ukrainian-speaking Ukrainians. This is what Russia does. This is what Russia did for years. It's infiltrated our societies. Russia today was spewing Russian propaganda for decades. And at the time when I was writing my book about Russia, about 2017, but I was talking about 2015, somewhere there, Russia today was spewing its propaganda for 85 million Americans. Increasing, instigating, exactly like in using tactics of the USSR to divide your society. Divide and conquer. Trying to make America destroy itself from within. That is why on the Facebook and some other things appeared Russian bots and trolls who were sitting in St. Petersburg troll factory, writing posts and creating groups of some sort of a gardeners or somebody, and waiting until real people will join the group, and started to divide people. In some countries, there was no division before. In some countries, there was some division. But to make members of one party hate members of another party that bad that they consider themselves as enemies, hate another members of another party or people with different opinions. I just experienced it from Russia with my own family members, with that kind of hatred, just because I stood up against Putin's bloody regime who destroyed my country, killing Russian people, already over 300,000 of them killed and wounded in the useless war in Ukraine, which nobody needed beside Putin. And even Putin didn't need it. He just thought he will go walk in Ukraine and get it in 3 days. He did not know that Ukrainians will put up that big of a fight. And you're welcome to know a lot from my channel alone about United States aid to Ukraine. But attaching that aid to some sort of a problem which America had for decades is insane. This isn't just insane, this is a blackmail, literally. May I remind you that American President Ronald Reagan was in power for 8 years. He was a member of Republican Party, and all the presidents I'm gonna talk now are Republicans. Another one was George H.W. Bush, and 4 years in power. George W. Bush, son, another 8 years in power. Donald Trump, Republican, 4 years in power. So 24 years in power in the just last years was Republican presidents and Republican Party. On top of that, Ronald Reagan was the governor of California for 8 years. And George W. Bush was the governor of Texas for 5 years. So for 37 years, almost 40 years in power, either by being a president or being a governor of the states which border in Mexico, couldn't solve the problem with the border, could they? And why is that? Maybe because it's a complicated problem and they couldn't. Also, there are other reasons perhaps. When I was in Florida, I saw a lot of mentions like this. It's just a sample. And you will see also Texas, Alamo. Of all places. This is it. This is not Florida. Just looked at those mentions. We drove with a truck camper through a lot of states of the United States, from BC, Canada, all the way to another side of the United States, through Texas, through all the Georgia and other states, into Florida, all around Florida, and back through the middle states, through like Oklahoma and so on, and go back to Canada. And basically, we saw a lot of amazing, beautiful mansions in the United States, especially in Florida. especially on the Keys and on the coast and everything. And guess who is working in the gardens of these amazing places? Mexican people. So perhaps some American farmers and American housewives who like their gardens of this kind of size be well kept didn't want to get rid of Mexican people, illegal immigrants who working in these gardens. Perhaps some American housewives didn't want to give up their Mexican nannies to their children, and so on. Nevertheless, no matter what the reason is, the problem wasn't solved. For 37 years, one way or another in power, Republican Party couldn't solve it. And now, all of a sudden, they decided to attach some sort of a stupid deals about the border. All of a sudden, it have to be solved in 5 minutes. And when Democratic Party is asking questions, what exactly do you want? Some politicians of Republican Party blackmailing Ukraine, blackmailing United States, betraying their own country. Because if Putin isn't stopped in Ukraine, he will go further. The next step would be attacking NATO countries. Then you may say kiss goodbye your sons and daughters in the army. Their boots would be on the ground. Canadian boots will be on the ground in other NATO countries. This is unacceptable. This is disgusting blackmail. So none of these presidents who were Republicans couldn't solve the problem with the border. And now all of a sudden, everything has to be about the border. And Republican Party doesn't even say what exactly do they want. And why didn't attach that deal with the help to Israel? Oh no. So either Republican Party politicians want to blackmail the whole country of the United States, Ukraine, and a whole bunch of other countries to get what they want, or they just don't feel like it to help Ukraine now. One Democratic leader is in power, and Democratic Party, and president from the Democratic Party. So they just waiting until the next election when maybe a Republican will be elected, and then they will give Ukraine everything Ukraine need to win the war and say, wow, our president came and helped. I call it a lowlife. This is just disgusting. Don't take me wrong, I'm not blaming all the Republican Party people, because majority of Republicans are supporting Ukraine. And they against what's happening, as well as the Democrats. I will not talk much about this, but I want to show you again the channel I'm watching quite a bit, and let the American gentleman tell you the same thing. With much better English than mine, you're welcome to watch the whole his video. It's just 7 minutes, 8 minutes. He's highly intelligent gentleman. I think he's Republican. This video called Let's Talk About NATO, Congress, and Trump.
That NATO is the building block of American influence and dominance. Okay, now you may think that's a good thing, you may think that's a bad thing, but it doesn't matter where you sit on the ideological spectrum. You know that's a statement of fact.
He is saying that there are things which generic knowledge. And one of them, which is no matter what people think about NATO, knows is a fact. Which is, he just said what it is. I would say even more, NATO is one of the cornerstones on which United States stands of power and influence in the world. And it's crucial to United States. Whoever is against NATO is in United States and trying to pull United States out of NATO and everything is helping Putin. It's helping any other dictator in the world to destroy, number one, to destroy United States. Because for USSR and Russia, United States was always an enemy number one. Nobody else stood even close by. And it's only a matter of time when United States would be next actual target. It's already a target. The fact that United States society get more divided, it's partly because Russian and Putin's propaganda for the last 2 decades, over 2 decades, was working in your society, trying to instigate division between you. And the situation, both the fifth column is talking just now, it's about what happened in the Congress. This article from CNN, but CBC, sorry. Again, I don't care what kind of news they are. I use the facts, I verified the facts myself. And if there is in one place correctly presented right information, I use it. And if there isn't, there isn't. I do have some sources I trust, but sometimes I disagree with them. In this case, I agree. The United States Congress just passed into law that what happened, basically. American lawmakers have moved to prevent any United States president from unilaterally withdrawing from the international alliance, from NATO. And the fact is, Republicans and Democrats voted for it. Why? Because there is a possibility that the Trump will come to power. And this is why both parties, so Republicans know, well aware, who they're trying to elect. They're trying to elect wannabe dictator like Putin, who using the Putin's propaganda tactics and KGB tactics, which I caught him myself personally on TV. There is no point to listen. I just don't have time to deal with this right now. The war in Ukraine is going on. But the fact is, there is no need to listen to somebody else. Listen to Trump himself. He said enough by himself personally to make Americans understand that he is the threat for your country. And the legislation has already passed the Senate. It was approved Thursday in the final vote in the House of Representatives. And now expected to become a law with the President Joe Biden's signature. You're welcome to read this article. Trump is in the context of this. There was no point to do any of this before him in power. This law passed just now. And yeah, democracy isn't perfect, but it's the best what humankind came up with so far. And democracy needs defending. Democracy you need to defend. Otherwise, it will slide into dictatorship. That is why checks and balance, which United States put in their country, preserved their country so far. That is why it's one of the steps to protect their country. I'm not sure how well it's gonna work. There is concerns in this article. So far it sounds like hypothetical. And there is no way to know whether Trump will return into the office and after that what his plans are for NATO. And I have really serious doubts about what's gonna happen if Russia attacks NATO country. Why? Because United States as well as UK signed Budapest Memorandum and now weaseled out of it. Yeah, it was a memorandum. Yeah, it wasn't a treaty. Yeah, we didn't have things to say that how we're gonna implement it, how we're gonna enforce it, and this and that. So Ukraine give up third in the world nuclear arsenal to Russia in exchange of the promise of, for example, United States, United Kingdom, Russia, to defend the borders of Ukraine, never attack it with nuclear weapons. And I have videos and articles about the war in Ukraine, and you're welcome to use it, to show it to your politicians. I'll show you where they are. This is my channel. These are playlists. And, for example, briefly about Ukraine. That's all you need to know. Just the facts, how Ukraine became a state, and who and when started the war in Ukraine. That alone, enough to send to your politicians to inform them about war in Ukraine. But here, I don't think it's even necessary. Those people, they know what they're doing. They already know all of this. Yet they choose to sacrifice the interests of United States as a country for their own personal gains. Everything of that, all that propaganda tactics I have seen in the USSR. And I warned my American friends several years ago, even before Trump get into power somewhere around George W. Bush time, when I saw clearly that American government trying to infringe on the freedoms of American people. They trying to take more and more power, all for the gains of one political party. Please think about yourself as an American, not about member of one party or another. This is unimportant. The country and your own life and prosperity is important. And this is important for other countries in the world, because United States, it's not some insignificant country nowhere which doesn't affect anybody. It's a world leader. And it became a world leader because of United States was part of NATO, because of United States stood up for what is right. United States as well as Canada could have sit perfectly fine in their own continent and never go into the World War I or World War II or defeat Hitler. And they could have done so. Yet they choose to do the right thing. So that's what I'm trying to tell you. Please choose to do a right thing. And it's in a way a little bit funny that I am Canadian, a Russian Canadian from the USSR, defending the United States, and have to tell American people from the free country that they have to defend themselves against corrupt dictator Putin, against their own corrupt or stupid politicians who just doesn't have enough brain to find out information which is open, wide open. I have subscribers on my channel on Quora from over 30 countries in the world. I have subscribers of different level of education, different level of everything, from opera singers to the farmers in Africa. And yet they all smart enough to know what is happening. They're all smart enough to know how to find information, how to verify information. And nobody can tell me that American politicians from the free country, which has access to all kind of information, and worst of all, former president of the United States, who has at his disposal not just information in internet, he has FBI, he has CIA, he has a whole bunch of other government institutions which can provide him with real, valid information. And nobody will tell me that they didn't know. And if they don't, okay, I give you my channel. You're welcome to use any of my videos to explain your politicians what is right and why we need to help Ukraine. And to help you even more, this is my playlist Fighting Propaganda. This video fighting propaganda about USA aid to Ukraine, here it is, which explains and why does the USA help Ukraine, but especially this one. This video explaining why United States helping Ukraine, why there is accountability, and that majority of that help stays within the United States. I heard the numbers from 90% of it and so on. About 31 states benefiting from the help in Ukraine. The taxes, the people who getting jobs, producing new weapons while the old weapons given to Ukraine. And it's going in way deeper. Member of my family who is very deep into researching all of this also suggested that it's not just that. The fact that Putin will be defeated, it will stop all the fires, little fires which Putin instigating in every country right now, from the Hamas attack on Israel to the Venezuela attack on its neighbors. Putin will instigate it even more. Right now, propaganda will be increased even more because Putin is losing the war in Ukraine. The propaganda will be increased even more than it was before. Right now, Putin will use every little troll, every politician, every single one he has any information on, who can blackmail or force to or bribe to help him. And number one goal is stop defending Ukraine. By doing the right thing and supporting Ukraine, United States not only did what I explained in my video, but also destroyed over 300,000 Russian troops. Russian army, it's now like 87% or 90% less than it was before. All the troops, 200,000, which invaded Ukraine in 2022, are gone. Putin had to do mobilization. Russian army lost a lot of vehicles, a lot of everything, ammunition. Russia has to buy now the junk from North Korea and Iran. So United States not only defended itself for the future, you will have to spend less money because Russian army is a joke. Right now, Russian army is so much worse and so much weaker that it's not a threat for a long time for United States. So this is saving money on its own, by itself. But another thing is important that would be way less of all the bad guys around the world and in the United States. The less would be emboldened and would be less fires here and there, which United States will have to deal with and extinguish, including their own country. It will really crack down on all that bad guys who making some blow-ups here and there and so on. Because Russia supported them. Russia supported Hamas, for example. And what happened, terrible tragedy in Israel, Hamas visited Moscow right after that. Russia did not only arm them, help them plan all of this and instigated it. And it will continue instigated it. And division in your country between people who support one party or another, it's all made up by Putin in many ways. He helped to create from adversaries or people who has different opinion, turn them into enemies, into evil, which you have to destroy. This is important. And this is what Ukraine is fighting against. And if you watch my video, Putin plan about Ukraine exposed, you will find out why Ukraine fighting so hard. Ukraine defending its life. Its life, which Putin want to destroy. And he clearly stating this, and he already implementing this plan on the occupied by Russia territories like Luhansk region, for example. Everything I said, you can either watch the video or read it in the comments. I put the whole text of the articles which still on the main Russian channel. This is Russian plan for Ukraine. Sorry, Ukrainians doesn't want to die. That's why they will not stop fighting. That is why they cannot stop fighting. Putin lies all the time. There is nobody who gonna believe him again. There is no proposition from Putin on the table to stop the war. There never was. Putin doesn't want to stop the war. He can't. Because Russians will start asking questions. Why exactly we live in that bad? And so far, he can keep these people as a meat grinder in Ukraine. When they will come back, it's a threat for Putin. Putin will not stop the war. He does not want peace. He's not proposing any of this. So there is no question of Ukraine accepting or agreeing on anything. Period. Please make it known. And it's up to us, intelligent people who united on this channel, who knows what's happening in Ukraine, to help Ukraine and to help our countries not to slide into this dictatorship a la Putin. This is what we need to do. This is what I believe every honorable person will stand up for, despite of the country, Russians or not, Ukrainians, Americans. They need to stand up and defend Ukraine. That is why I wrote to my Prime Minister and my politician, my MLA, and I will provide in the comments to this video my letter, which you can use and send it to your politicians in any country, wherever you are, even in Europe, even if not necessarily in the United States, and demand help Ukraine. By helping Ukraine, you're helping yourself. Because Ukraine is just number one. If Putin will get Ukraine and only embolden him, and we already seen what happens, it was done by Hitler. And Putin using Hitler and his propaganda a lot. And he is not even hiding that he's gonna go further. And his main target in the end is the United States. This is the only thing Putin thinks worthy of Russian attention. So please help Ukraine, stay strong, and stay united. Thank you for your attention, and learn the truth and stay informed. See you later.